Hi. You know, incredibly, as far as I'm concerned, it's nearly 50 years since I did my first Grand Prix commentary for the BBC. But it wasn't until 1976, when my late colleague, the unforgettable James Hunt, won his World Championship, that the Beeb's coverage of Formula One really took off. So, that's where my magic moments start. Just some of the many memories I have of what is, for me, the greatest sport in the world. Sadly, even in 90 minutes, I can only scratch at the surface of the drama, the action, the excitement, the good times and the bad times. And I'm more than conscious of the fact that I may have missed things that you'd like to see again. But hopefully, my memories will fire you up as much as they fired me. So, let's go.
Starting with that memorable Japanese Grand Prix in appalling weather at Mount Fuji, where James finally became world champion after a year of controversy. The battle was between himself and Austria's Niki Lauda, who'd been away for 3 races following a dreadful fiery crash at Germany's Nürburgring. After a couple of laps at Fuji, Lauda gave it best and retired. But as James later recalled, it still wasn't over.
The pit signals that I got were not consistent, right? By the end of the race, they'd got, from their lap chart, what turned out to be correct. But 3 laps before the end of the race, they were giving me a complete jumble of signals, and then suddenly it said 4th, which I probably was at the time because I passed somebody else to finish 3rd, right? But with their track record for handling things in a crisis and a panic, I wasn't prepared to believe McLaren's and their lap chart, and I basically didn't fully accept that I was world champion. It was only when I came out of the press room to see that everybody had gone, right? Organised a lot, everybody had enough, right? And when I realised that everybody had gone, then I decided nobody was going to take it away from me because there wasn't anybody there and nobody was interested.
After that great day, James naturally carried on. But it soon became clear that in uncompetitive cars, his motivation had faded. So it was no great surprise when he retired in 1979. But his Wolf team's loss was the public's gain, as James and I started to share BBC Television's commentary box around the world. James's untimely death robbed viewers of a knowledgeable, controversial and colourful commentator, and me of a charismatic colleague.
In our time together, and subsequently, Formula One was never dull.
It's green and go, and Nigel Mansell comes through from the centre, and he makes contact. He's taken off Piquet, and Alboretto's hit.
Nigel, first of all, will you carefully and slowly take your hat off? You've got an enormous bump on your head. Can you let them see it?
I don't know whether... There you go.
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry.
And out goes Piquet. My goodness, it seems that the Brabhams are fated, and he has hit Eliseo Salazar, and he's furious. The Brazilian and the Colombian driver, I couldn't help it, says, and take that. Oh my goodness. And that's Piquet's car, and Patrese going off. Riccardo Patrese in the Alfa Romeo, and this is lap 17, and Piquet and Patrese both out.
And the other 4 non-qualifiers are the 2 Ligers of Stefan Johansson and René Arnoux, Oscar Larori's Eurobrunn, and I couldn't remember the 4th one. James, I have seen lots of people who are incomparably better than I am, obviously, stalling when they get away from the start. So what do you have to do to avoid that? I don't want to make a fool of myself before I even leave.
And once again, the determination, the sheer grit, the driving skill and the tactics of Alan Jones, allied to the legendary reliability of the Williams car, is paying off. Jones is in trouble. Villeneuve is gaining. Jones has badly missed a gear. Look at him going up the hill from Santa Vot. It looks as though the Monaco Grand Prix is going to finish on an even more exciting note than we expected.
Alboreto into the pits, and I'm going to stop the start watch. Now, I've seen some pretty amazing crashes over the years, but it's a testimony to the strength of modern Grand Prix cars that not one driver was hurt in any of the incidents you'll see on this video.
Is he going to go through, or are they going to touch wheels? They've done that. So, and it's almost a spin. Patrese has held his place, and of course now, Alesi's held his place, and that means, of course, that Riccardo Patrese will have been able to pull away.
Knowing exactly where Nigel Mansell is, because he can see him in his earphone. See him in his mirrors. You can see Nigel Mansell in his mirrors, knows exactly what the score is, and will be able to pace himself from the front.
That's a guaranteed goal for Balls, Murray. Absolutely for sure.
Oh, it's fantastic stuff. The Andrews kept him well blocked. That's very excusable on the last lap, but Rosberg's coming at him. He's going to finish side by side, and the Andrews has just held it.
But it would seem that the beak of the Ayrton Senna chicken is pushing its way through the shell now. And that gives the lie to the fact that there is a bitter enmity between these two drivers. Take it from me, there most certainly is not. They're not exactly bosom friends, but they are a long, long way from being the implacable enemies with hatred that people suggest.
I have to embarrassedly tell you that when you were talking to Michael after the race, I said, there we are, that proves that they're really good chums after all. Was it in fact not that sort of a conversation?
Well, not surprisingly, Murray, you were wrong.
And he's going for it. He has a look, and Schumacher closes the door, which of course he's got every right to do. And Damon Hill goes through, tries again. Now Damon and Coulthard comes up alongside Hill and takes second position, but not for very long.
The BBC's first Grand Prix season was 1978, and I was lucky enough to see the Canadian Grand Prix debut of a man whose natural raw talent marked him out as a superstar. Gilles Villeneuve won his first Grand Prix in a Ferrari on his home track in Montreal, and Canada went mad. The title race had already been won by the magnificent Mario Andretti, who won 6 times that year in the legendary Lotus 79. As with Lotus the previous year, Ferrari dominated in 1979. But while Jody Scheckter pipped his French-Canadian teammate to the title, the memories that stay with me are of Villeneuve.
End of lap 10. Alan Jones and Villeneuve closer again. Right in the slipstream, tucked under the rear wing of Alan Jones, and he's coming out of the slipstream. Gilles Villeneuve's going to try and take Jones on the outside of Tarzan. An incredible manoeuvre. Is he going to do it? Jones is fighting back. He's not going to let him, but Villeneuve keeps it on. And in an absolutely magnificent manoeuvre, Gilles Villeneuve, the French-Canadian, 2 times Grand Prix winner this year, has taken the lead in the Dutch Grand Prix. Now, what is Alan Jones going to do about it? Can he do anything about it? Yes, and Villeneuve's lost it. Incredible! Villeneuve, 360-degree spin. Jones manages to avoid him and goes through and takes the lead. Fantastic! Alan Jones, and that's not Villeneuve behind him there, that's Nelson Piquet.
And Villeneuve's got going again. He's still in the race, he's still in second place, but there's a new leader, and it's this man, number 27, Alan Jones. And that's Villeneuve again. He's done it again. And look at the near side rear wheel tyre. He's at Tarzan, and he's thoughtfully looking at the back of the car. Up comes his visor. What is he going to do? He's starting. He's spun the rear wheel right inside the tyre, back onto the circuit, throws mud and dirt all over it, and that's not good. And he's getting going. He's got a whole lap to go before he can get back to the pits, and now you can see the incredible shape of the rear wheels on modern Formula One cars, like gigantic aluminium cotton reels. And this is hardly believable. Villeneuve with a ribbon of rubber and nearly losing the car altogether. He's on 3 wheels, and the whole of the near side rear suspension must be dragging on the ground, and that won't be doing it any good at all. There's Piquet past him, and look at that, Sparks, he's on 2 wheels, not 3 wheels, and the whole of that near side wheel, rear wheel, is ripped off the suspension. It's dragging behind the car like a broken limb, and still Villeneuve motors on, determined to get back to the pits. And look at the offside front wheel right off the ground as the rear drags, and it's a miracle that the car isn't catching fire with all those sparks flying from the skirts and the near side. And he's doing a wheelie as he goes down the straight there. As they come to lap 76, closing up on De Angelis, and Arnoux pops out and has a look. That's Jody Scheckter in the background has been lapped. Arnoux has another look. And Villeneuve locks up his tyres. He is trying very, very hard indeed. 4th gear, up into 5th when they go over the crest of the hill, up to 160, 165 miles an hour as they come down to the right-hander at Villeroy. And it's there that they can pass, and Arnoux's going to do it. René Arnoux is challenging for second as they come up to Villeroy, but Villeneuve will not give way. Arnoux's got the inside line and the shorter line, and he takes second place as they go into the right-hander and the left at Sablière. And now Renault's indeed are first and second in the French Grand Prix, and the French crowd is going mad, roaring in the background. Well, this is incredible. The twin-turbo Renaults appeared at Monaco, not their circuit. And now we're into the start of the 79th and last lap but one, with René Arnoux second, and Villeneuve go. Incredible! Villeneuve stood on everything, locked up his tyres, got the line, and he's back into second position on the last lap but one, and the French crowd aren't very happy about that, and who can blame them? This is incredible. This is the 79th lap in this 80-lap historic French Grand Prix, the oldest Grand Prix of them all. This is the 65th Grand Prix, and there has never been a more exciting battle for a major position than this one, with such French interest. Jabouille still ahead. And he's closed right up on Villeneuve, and he's going to try again. They're coming into the start of the last lap behind Jochen Maas in the A2 Arrows. And Arnoux does it, does he? And Villeneuve locks up. And Villeneuve has had to go wide, and Arnoux's on the inside as they go round Villeroy. He's got the shorter line. He's got second position. He's got second position. He's through. They bang wheels. He's off. He's off. And he's back again. René Arnoux off the circuit and back again, and now Villeneuve's in second position, and this is the last lap. And Villeneuve goes over the corrugations, and he nearly loses the front as they go up to Parabolique on the 80th and last lap. And he's back, he's in second position. Villeneuve is second in the Ferrari. Down to third position goes Arnoux. To La Bretelle, 80th. 80th lap in this 80-lap race. And there's less than a third of it to go. Now, can Arnoux, on the tremendously fast La Combe Courbe de Pouar section, 150 miles an hour, get past? They go past Jochen Maas, and Jabouille wins. Jean-Pierre Jabouille has won in the Renault. Who is going to be second? Villeneuve is at the moment. Arnoux is in third position. Into the Courbe de Pouar they come. There is Riccardo Patrese, and Villeneuve is second. Arnoux is third. Behind them and lapped are Jochen Maas and Jody Scheckter. And an incredible, heart-stopping French Grand Prix.
During Gilles' all-too-short career, he created a legend that survives to this day. He gave the Prancing Horse team their first turbo victory at the Monaco Grand Prix in 1981, but not before some strange goings-on.
Water is pouring onto the track. So the drivers will be faced with the problem if the race starts, and it's inconceivable to me that it could do so under present circumstances, of going from a totally dry track into a dark tunnel at 150 miles an hour plus, suddenly hitting a wet patch, a very limited area, and that could be, to put it very mildly indeed, suicidally dangerous. A real dilemma for the organisers then. Nelson Piquet is still leading in the Brabham on lap 54 out of 76, but that's Piquet! You've joined us at a tremendously dramatic moment, because Piquet is clearly out of the race into the Armco. My goodness, what excitement at Monaco. Round Laurent Cat, he can almost push the clutch home and coast in now. Gilles Villeneuve is, the Ferrari mechanics are already out in the road, and Villeneuve is accelerating away, and Gilles Villeneuve in the Ferrari wins the Monaco Grand Prix. One of the most exciting we've seen in a succession of exciting Grand Prix.
At Jarama in Spain, Villeneuve drove a brilliant race to hold off a snake of better handling cars and lead home a bunch of 5 separated by just 1.2 seconds.
Ferrari leads Williams, leads Talbot. Turbocharged 1.5-litre engine leads a Ford V8 engine, leads a Matra V12 engine, and again Reutemann challenges, and again Villeneuve holds him off. If any one of them makes a mistake or puts a wheel wrong, there will be a dramatic change in the race positions, and now Lafitte all over Villeneuve, who's holding him up on this twisty section of the course, desperately striving to keep his position, while Watson closes up on Lafitte. Reutemann closes up on Watson. De Angelis closes up on Reutemann as they go round the left-hander and up toward out of Bugatti, and Lafitte tries again as they go into the Monza turn. Now there's just a short stretch from the Monza turn to the tunnel turn. This is the last few hundred yards of the Spanish Grand Prix, and Lafitte tries. But now Villeneuve's only got to put his foot down, and Villeneuve in the Ferrari wins from Lafitte, Watson, Reutemann and De Angelis. The Spanish crowd justifiably goes mad.
In the 1982 San Marino Grand Prix, a row between Fisa and Foca decimated the field, but with the Ferraris of Villeneuve and Didier Pironi battling it out, the Italian crowd were overjoyed.
And Villeneuve made a mistake. He just went wide, lost traction, and Pironi nipped through. Just a little mistake from Villeneuve, and that's what it's cost him. It's cost him the lead. Now let's see if he can fight back. Yeah, Villeneuve's well placed now. He's picking up the draft well. He's going to be alongside. Which side's Pironi going to keep? Pironi, I think, has made him go the way he shouldn't have done. The long around, Villeneuve's inside. Ooh! Absolutely side by side. But Villeneuve's got the line up the hill into the next corner.
And look at the ATS right in the line of both of them, and Villeneuve takes his opportunity, comes out to the left, and it could be that Pironi's going to be balked, and they go through absolutely together, and Villeneuve leads again. Another change in the lead, and is on lap 49, and the French-Canadian has put one across Pironi, and look at that. Pironi and Villeneuve absolutely together.
Pironi's in the lead. Pironi's just nipped through. Unfortunately, the director was away, but Villeneuve is going to respond here, possibly. So I would suspect that what happened, that was on the straight, I would suspect that Villeneuve made a bit of a mistake coming out of the complex before the pits, came out a bit slowly, and Pironi had the chance to pick it up. So we've definitely got to fight, because I don't think Villeneuve's the sort of man to take much notice of slow signals from the pit, and I would think that he'll desperately want to fight back. He'll be mindful of championship points and all the other implications. They're going to arrive together, and can Pironi push him? Oh, I said he was. Villeneuve wasn't so far off, giving him one up the back then. But Pironi is defending that position with all he's got. Yeah, he's well placed now. He's right behind him, and he's going to get by on the straight. But can Pironi defend his situation down to the corner? They're going to arrive together with Villeneuve at just the advantage. He's going to be a little bit in front.
And he's done it exactly as he did it before. He was on the outside on the right-hander, on the left side on the left-hander. That gave Villeneuve the advantage, which he has taken. And now he's keeping his foot stuffed right in the car, rather the fuel injection,
And now he's got to keep ahead of Pironi, not just for this lap, but the next lap as well. And my guess is that he will do just that, because Pironi has been second most of the time.
Gilles led into the last few corners, but was amazed and angry to see Pironi take the lead against all team orders.
Pironi's got to come down the inside. He's got him. Oh, he's going wide. Oh! Fantastic stuff. They've changed places on 2 laps running, and Pironi now, all he has to do now is keep it pointing the right way.
But Villeneuve could still do it. He's going to try and go through on the inside. These are the closing stages. They're into the Traguardo now. And no, I don't think Villeneuve can possibly do it.
I tell you, Pironi nearly blew it. He made a mistake there, terrible, on that corner before the combination, and Villeneuve was nearly past. But there we go. Didier Pironi wins. Magnificent race, terrific entertainment, but what a shame we hadn't got a full field.
On the podium, Gilles' body language said it all. He never spoke to Pironi again, and sadly, 13 days later, was killed in practice at Zolder. A shining light of Formula One was extinguished.
Now the Villeneuve legacy is still with us. After Gilles' death, whoever drove the red Ferrari number 27 was always under tremendous pressure. So it was wonderful to see Jean Alesi's emotional first win driving a Ferrari in, of all places, Canada in 1995. Once again, Montreal went mad.
And now there's Jacques, whose brilliant debut at Melbourne in '96 included pole position and almost a win.
We can see Hill comes out of the pit lane, Villeneuve comes up, it's going to be very, very close into the first corner. And that Damon Hill takes the lead and stays ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Well, you can't be much closer than that. And Villeneuve realises that now he's got to go for it, because Damon Hill's tyres are not as warm as Villeneuve's are. There's not a lot of difference in it, and Villeneuve fights and retakes the lead. Fantastic! Absolutely incredible. The gloves are off their teammates, a great mate, and off goes Villeneuve, and he gets on the course back in front of Hill, and he manages to block his teammate, because that was Damon's opportunity. He wasn't able to take it, but now Hill can push very hard indeed, and he's trying to take him on the outside. He nearly goes off on the inside of the corner. What a sensational scrap, and remember, this is for the lead between teammates.
Jacques didn't win his first Grand Prix because of an engine problem, but when you watch him pass Michael Schumacher on the outside of the Parabolica in Portugal, you know he's truly a chip off the old block.
Look left, it's Villeneuve going past. Jacques Villeneuve is taking Michael Schumacher. He's been trying to do it all through the race. It looks as though he's succeeding, but Lavargian is in his way. Villeneuve cuts ahead of the Ferrari. Fantastic bit of driving by both of them. Michael Schumacher coming back at him as they go into turn 1.
One of Gilles' great victories was that fabulous race around the streets of Monaco in 1981. For me, every Grand Prix is magic, but if there's one place that's more magic than the rest, it has to be Monaco. I'll never forget, for instance, the electrifying crash that Tyrrell teammates Derek Daly and Jean-Pierre Jarier had at the start in 1980.
Reutemann second, Jones third, Lafitte fourth, and that is Derek Daly. Derek Daly and Jean-Pierre Jarier, and the rest of the car stationary.
2 years after that colossal crash, the end of the 1982 Monaco Grand Prix was incredible.
And there goes Prost, off, as did Arnoux. My goodness, what about Patrese now? That tells you how wet it is. Now, is Patrese going to see it? Yes, he is. Patrese's through safe, and he's in the lead. What an incredible development.
Well, Riccardo Patrese now has all the pressure off, only has to cruise around, and he's sliding and he's lost it. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Can he keep the engine running? Because he can still win the race if he can just get the car going again. And it's obviously getting very, very slippery out there. We saw, and there goes Pironi through into the lead. Pironi now takes the lead.
Didier Pironi leads, and Patrese is stalled. Well, incredible. Numero uno is the signal signal that he gets from the marshal. And there goes Patrese. Patrase's on the move again. Very fast, but no hope of catching Pironi, who goes into the tunnel for the Is that Pironi stationary? It is! My goodness! The third leader in 2 laps.
He must have run out of petrol. There's a big problem for the Ferrari engine is very, very thirsty. They have a fuel problem, and he could have run out of petrol.
And that is De Cesaris's car. But De Cesaris would have taken the lead when Pironi... So that means to say that Derek Daly can win this race. Patrese could win. Now, if he's push-started, he will be disqualified. Well, De Cesaris out. Patrese could win still. There is Derek Daly coasting to a standstill. This is unbelievable.
Well, we've got this ridiculous situation. We're all sitting by the start-finish line waiting for a winner to come past, and we don't seem to be getting one.
Daly has hit something. You can see his near side spoiler is missing. We're just hoping that Riccardo Patrese comes in. Well, Prost led and went out. Patrese led and went out. Pironi led and went out. De Cesaris led and went out. And now Patrese is coming in to win, without a doubt. There is the man who could have said this is going to win the Monaco Grand Prix despite having spun off. Riccardo Patrese comes up to the line to win his first Grand Prix. He takes the checkered flag and wins. Certainly the most eventful, exciting, momentous Grand Prix I have ever seen.
Well, it's hardly surprising I was confused. 1984 was dramatic too. Nigel Mansell could have won his first Grand Prix at Monaco. Stefan Beloff could have won it too, and so could Ayrton Senna. But in fact, it was Alain Prost who did it, in controversial circumstances.
Nigel Mansell now very coolly dealing with things. He is in his 49th Grand Prix. He is no new boy, but it's a new experience for him to know that he's leading a Grand Prix. The Renault engined JPS Lotus is sounding crisp and clear. Prost goes through, his engine is rumbling. He has now lapped. And off goes Nigel Mansell. I spoke too soon. Mansell lost it in the biggest possible way. That was the race leader. Now look at this. His wing's damaged. That's going to affect his downforce.
Yes, it's possible. Oh, no, I think he's damaged the suspension. The car's all over the place. And that was really a terrible, terrible mistake by Nigel Mansell because he was pulling away from Alain Prost. He's handed it back to Prost. And all he had to do was to keep the thing straight. But when I say that by no means easy. And poor Nigel Mansell.
Out of the Rascasse now. And Prost has gone through some 24 seconds ago already. And there is Arnoux, with behind Arnoux in 5th position, Kenny Rosberg, and Senna challenging for that 2nd place, and he's taken it. A magnificent bit of driving by Senna, who's now in 2nd place.
Beloff had an opportunity there, but unfortunately for him it was at the wrong place. He's having a look down the inside too, and I would think that he's going to try and get very quickly around the right-hand part here of the Casino Square and maybe try and outbrake him down into the Mirabeau, and he's well positioned to do it. And he's got the inside line, and Arnoux's going to hit him. And that was a little bit naughty by René Arnoux, and Beloff did terribly well to avoid it, because Arnoux, without any doubt, moved unjustifiably into into Beloff rather, who had to get up on the curb to avoid him, and that was very, very well driven by Stefan Beloff.
Now here is Prost coming through again, and I'm going to start the stopwatch. 15 seconds was the gap. If Senna is continuing to close at the rate of 3 seconds a lap, Prost is waving his hand. Prost goes through, waving his hand at the officials. He wants to stop the race, and who can blame him? Now, I'm just waiting for Senna to come through, and the gap as Senna goes through, quite dispassionately, is down to 11 seconds. He's taken 4 seconds out of Prost's lead. And out is going the red flag. The race is being stopped. There's an official in front of me with a red flag. The Monaco Grand Prix is going to be stopped.
In 1987, 3 years later, the buzzwords were active suspension, and it was Ayrton Senna who gave it its first victory as he took his first Monaco win for Lotus. And it was at Monaco in 1988 where Senna made one of his rare mistakes, went off under pressure from Prost and lost the race. He was so distressed that he disappeared off to his apartment and hid himself there until hours after the race.
4 years later, and Senna was again under massive pressure as the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix reached its climax. This time, the man behind him was Nigel Mansell, and what a barnstorming finish it was.
And as they come through to complete lap 75 with 3 laps to go after they have done so, Ayrton Senna has got to keep Mansell behind him for 3 whole laps, and Mansell will never have been more determined to get past anybody. These two are the implacable rivals in Formula One, and you can see for yourselves what the situation is now as Mansell swarms around all over the McLaren. Into Casino Square again. There's 3 laps of this that Ayrton Senna has got to resist, and Nigel Mansell knows that the man ahead of him is the man that can deny him his 6th successive Grand Prix victory and his first Monaco Grand Prix win. Senna closes the door out of the swimming pool. Now this is Mansell's opportunity as they come up to Saint-Devote. He's tucked right under the rear wing of Ayrton Senna's McLaren. This is the start of lap 77, the last lap but one. Even if Mansell doesn't get past Senna, and he's going to have a job, this is going to be probably the closest finish we've ever had at Monaco.
Senna blocking away and sliding a lot. Senna knocking it down. And he almost came to a dead stop there.
Mansell weaving this way and that way, but Senna won't let him past. He's got the racing line, he's going to keep it. This last lap coming up, of course, is going to be the crucial one. You see, Senna's just got to put his car in the right position, and there's no way that Mansell could get through, and it won't be at the Rascasse. It could be at Saint-Devote again. But Senna demonstrates that Honda have caught up with Renault as terms of engine power. Mansell said they had yesterday, and Senna actually pulls away a little bit last lap. It's got to be a brilliantly courageous move by Nigel Mansell if he's going to win the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time, because Senna knows that he's got considerably less than half a lap between himself and his first victory of 1992. This is the swimming pool. It's only the left here, the right again, the left, and into the Rascasse. And I do not see how Mansell, even Nigel Mansell on fresh tyres, is going to be able to get by. He can't. Ayrton Senna has won the Monaco Grand Prix, almost certainly, as he exits the Rascasse. Mansell closes, but it's too late, and Ayrton Senna wins at Monaco for the 5th time.
And a year later, Senna made it a record 6 wins at Monaco.
Now, the British drivers who made the running during those Senna years were Nigel Mansell and Damon Hill. But prior to that, the big British hero had been Ulsterman John Watson.
McLaren International had only been formed in 1981, but scored a major success when John gave British fans a longed-for victory at the British Grand Prix. Later that year, John survived this horrendous crash in his MP4 at the 1981 Italian Grand Prix.
That's John Watson, and a very nasty one indeed. Torn the whole of the back off the car, and that's a very, very bad one indeed.
But what I'll always remember John for is some storming winds from the back.
In 1982, John won at Detroit after starting 17th.
And Watson is right up with Lauda. John Watson, who got up from... He's driving an absolutely incredible race. He's going through the field like a hot knife through butter. He's up to 7th position behind his teammate Niki Lauda. So there is Pironi 2nd. Prost is in 3rd position. Chiva is 4th. And Lauda, there is Lauda in 5th position. Watson is 6th. And it's now a question of who has got the right tyres as much as anything else. Pironi on Michelin and Chiva, and the 2 Alfa Romeos were, but De Cesaris out of the race, and of course the McLarens are as well. Now look at John Watson. John Watson is through. He's past Giacomelli now. So he's up to 5th position.
An amazing turnaround for McLaren's in this race, because they really had a nightmare. It was Watson having a go at Loudon, and he's through. Watson just came out. Loudon obviously let him through there. That was a clear case of that. He probably feels that Watson, well, he can see that Watson's going very well indeed. He probably feels that he's had a long enough shot to doing something about it, so the least he can do is let his teammate have a crack at it. I suspect they may well be running different compounds of tyre. This has happened in the past in Belgium when John Watson won. Lauder was well ahead of him and then slowed down. McLaren's like to take a double punt on the tyres, and as a result of that they're leading the Constructors' Championship. But they had a nightmare practice. They were both in double figures. Watson was 17th on the grid, but look at him now. He's really storming.
And he's really storming and taking Cheever through into 3rd position. From 13th place goes John Watson, and by the way, behind this lot in 6th position is Jacques Lafitte in the second of the two Talbots. So Pironi, and now Watson's going through into 2nd position. Unbelievable, but he's done it.
What an amazing burst of driving. He's done on one lap, overtaken 3 cars when everybody else has spent the whole race failing to overtake anybody. Absolutely marvellous stuff by Watson.
Absolutely. Keke Rosberg couldn't hold John off either. Watson went on to take a famous victory. Now, you might have thought that was a one-off, but John didn't. For if that was good, the following year we saw a truly titanic struggle at Long Beach, as John moved from 22nd on the grid to win, hotly pursued by Niki Lauda, who was 23rd at the start and finished 2nd. It was unbelievable.
Jacques Lafitte in the lead from Riccardo Patrese. We look at the 3rd and 4th men, and John Watson is coming up to take Niki Lauda. A spurt of smoke from his tyre there, and he's gone through with a beautiful passing manoeuvre, and that seems to show that there's certainly no team orders in the McLaren team. And John Watson now pulling away just a little from Niki Lauda in 3rd position, is making his challenge for race leadership. Catching up with, and surely soon going to harry Jacques Lafitte even more than he's doing now, maybe to take the lead. Let's watch, he's right in the slipstream. This is where he could do it. Jacques Lafitte moves over, John Watson goes up alongside him, and we have a new leader.
Yes, marvellous piece of overtaking by John Watson, and very brave stuff, because Lafitte, we'll see a replay in a moment, Lafitte moved over on him, pushed him, and here we are. Yes, here's the replay. Now you see Lafitte is moving towards the centre of the road, and Watson stayed behind him, and then just as Lafitte thought that Watson wasn't going to come, he feinted to the right and dived through, and that really was a marvellous piece of overtaking, and certainly...
And look, it's Niki Lauda's gone through now. He's up into 2nd position, so both the Marlboro McLarens have passed Lafitte, and it's a wonderful day for the McLaren team, for Ron Dennis, for John Barnard, for Crichton Brown, and all the rest of them. And there he comes into the last straight. John Watson has won the Long Beach Grand Prix of 1983.
But comeback wins weren't just for Watson. In 1988, Senna became champion by winning in Japan after starting 14th.
And this has given Prost an enormous advantage. Berger 2nd, Capelli 3rd, and it looks like Warwick up into 4th position of the arrows, and Senna has really got himself a problem now. And Ayrton Senna has got past the comparatively easy people that he was behind. Now he's got the tough nuts to crack, because Alboreto in the turbocharged Ferrari is in 4th position, then Alboreto 5th, in 6th position, Boutsen, and Senna goes through, right almost onto the grass.
And this is a serious problem moment potentially for Alain Prost. He's going to have to punch that boost button. Senna is getting close to him, and Senna is going to challenge for the lead. Ayrton Senna has got the lead.
Another champion to clinch the title with a great recovery drive was Nigel Mansell in Hungary.
Off goes Schumacher. Now that is going to help Nigel Mansell, because Schumacher was in 3rd place. That means to say that Mansell is now in 5th position behind Mika Häkkinen.
Well, Mansell will do the Lotus now. Mansell goes past. Mika Häkkinen fights back, but Mansell has clearly got him. And Martin Brundle stands between Nigel Mansell and him winning the World Championship today. And he's perfectly placed. And Mansell goes back into World Championship
winning order, as it were.
Now, is this where the Englishman is going through? Yes! Yes, he forces Gerhard Berger wide. But where is Nigel Mansell on the last lap for second place and 6 points? That's going to give him the World Championship. Here he is. He hasn't got far to go now, because when he comes out of this right-hander, dropping downhill, he will go into turn 10, the second gear, 60-mile-an-hour corner, and he's up to the last corner now. You are about to see Nigel Mansell become world champion of 1992 as Brundle goes off. Brundle off, and Mansell finishes, and he's world champion.
And Michael Schumacher makes our roll of honour with his absolutely amazing drive through the field at the 1995 Belgian race, after this heavy practice crash had seen him start way down the grid in 16th place.
This could not be a better start for the Belgian Grand Prix. Everybody round on the first lap without an incident, and Johnny Herbert leads again at the end of the first lap. Obviously having made the fastest lap so far. Then the two Ferraris, and Michael Schumacher carves past Rubens Barrichello. Schumacher is now up from 16th to 12th, and Hakkinen has spun. Lap 3, race order. Alesi leads, Herbert second. There is the battle for third position. Berger and Coulthard, followed by Damon Hill, who is fifth. And Michael Schumacher, already on lap 3, is up into 10th position. He's got past Frenson, Barrichello, Sala, Bouillon, several others. Michael Schumacher really pushing it. And look at Schumacher coming up through the field now, because Michael Schumacher is up into 5th position. He's ahead of his teammate.
Well, I think he had a little bit of a feather, as we call it, and that means just easing off the throttle, and Schumacher gets by, perhaps as a result.
Schumacher goes through and takes that 4th position.
When Coulthard went out, it was a thrilling battle between Hill and Schumacher.
Now, this is the chance for Damon Hill. This is where I said, but Schumacher's going to try and cut him off. Hill is alongside him and goes through. No! Schumacher's still marginally ahead.
And again, Hill goes round the outside. Hill's trying the outside. Schumacher is driving very, very precisely, making Damon Hill really work. If you're going to come round by me, you're going to go round the long way, thinks Michael Schumacher, and he's absolutely right, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Hill does get by.
Remember Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell at Monaco? This is almost a replay of that. Now, is Hill going to get through? Yes! And Michael Schumacher runs wide, loses grip, goes over the grass. And I remember Nigel Mansell doing that at the same point in the Ferrari.
And then Schumacher took advantage of the safety car to change tyres and take a famous victory.
A magnificent 16th career victory for Michael Schumacher, who starts 16th on the grid and superbly wins the Belgian Grand Prix.
Another driver who used a pit stop to score was Olivier Panis at Monaco in '96. He started 14th in the wet, brilliantly switched to slicks and won.
That's a very different sent right together. He locks his wheel. Olivier Panis locks his wheel as he tries to go through, and he's pushed Irvine off. There's a collision. Out goes the second Ferrari.
There's a hand smoke out of the back of the Williams. This is going to be the first time that the Williams Hill's failed to finish this year.
Damon Hill out of the Monaco Grand Prix. He was destined not to win this race, and my goodness, the Englishman's heart will be plunging to his boots. Jean Alesi in the Benetton has got a major problem there, and Olivier Panis leads. David Coulthard is up into second place, and Olivier Panis for Ligier Mugen Honda, a wonderful fillip for the French team and their Japanese engine supplier, exits the Rascasse to win the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. An incredible result.
Now, no driver can win a race, however brilliant his driving, unless his pit lane crew do their job properly. And I've seen some of the best pit work ever. But sometimes things don't go quite to plan.
And it looks to me as though this is Mansell's stop. He's coming into the pit lane now, and he leads. Now I'm going to to be watching very carefully to see if Martini goes by before Mansell comes out, in which case the Italian will be in the lead.
Yes, and Thierry Boutsen has put up a new fast start to the race on fresh tyres, and there's confusion now. Mansell's missed his pit. This is a disaster for Nigel Mansell. Critical time, no hurry for the Williams team, just essential to have no errors, nothing stuck on, and just get him turned round. 10 seconds would do nicely. There is not a hurry on this one. And that's absolutely fine. Oh, and he's lost a wheel. Apparently Mansell, so they didn't. And that, I did say 10 seconds would do. If the wheel was not seated properly or something like that, bit of wheel spin, and it's undone itself, and they're going to try work on the car, but I fear that's going to be all too late, and Nigel Mansell, once again, a shot for the World Championship seems to be slipping away.
Now, sometimes drivers don't even make the grid. Alain Prost and Gerhard Berger slid off on the warm-up lap at Imola in 1991, but unlike Gerhard, Alain stalled, couldn't restart, and was out. And sometimes even entering the pit lane can be difficult.
And into the pit lane. Oh, my goodness! David Coulthard smashes himself out of the Australian. I have never seen that before. He comes into the pit lane and into the wall and blows his chance of winning for Williams.
Let's have another look. He comes up, he's in the pit lane. Let's see if there's any sign of anything breaking. He turns in. It looks, not to me, it looks as simply he tried to turn in too quickly on that tight corner on a dusty track.
Well, here's another view of it, Jonathan. He comes in. I think he's just going far too quick. He's got plenty of lock on, and the car's just not responding. He's just too quick. He gets on a little bit of loose stuff. He's on the brakes now, as you can see, but it's too late and into the wall. Now, I mean, that will be so embarrassing for him.
And there can even be a problem leaving the pit lane.
Here comes Berger, Gerhard Berger in 7th position behind Martin Brundle. I have an uneasy feeling that the producer thought we were watching Schumacher when in fact we were watching Patrese, because the German, Michael Schumacher, is still in the lead and he's now 6 seconds ahead, and that is John, that is Berger, straight out of the pits on cold tyres.
Yeah, big mistake by Gerhard Berger then. Too much power, cold tyres. Even though these tyres are warmed in their blankets, they are still not at operating temperature. He's coming out of the pit lane hard on the power. That was simply too much power. Lost the back end. Clearly his traction control system not saving him on that occasion, and Berger out of the race.
And Thierry Boutsen joins our Hall of Shame as he gets it all wrong after his tyre stop in Brazil. It's mighty dangerous in the pit lane if you're one of the tyre change crew. And I'll never forget this. Jos Verstappen's terrifying stop at the 1994 German Grand Prix.
Oh, and fuel. That's the first time we've had a fuel splash. Oh, my goodness me.
Well, now, just let's keep calm. There are a lot of fire officials down there, and the fire is already out. And remember, when Gerhard Berger had his car burst into flames in Imola and he was sitting in the car unconscious, the fire marshals still got him out in plenty of time. And Verstappen should not have been in that car for more than a couple of seconds or so. They have medical air piped through to their helmets in case of a problem like this. And you can see the Benetton down there, and I cannot see Verstappen in it, so they've got him out safely.
Amazingly, Jos was perfectly okay. And talking of Jos, he had another lucky escape when he and 3 other drivers walked away from this frightening pile-up at the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix. Among the other lucky chaps who got away with it was Martin Brundle, whose McLaren, like the other cars, stood up remarkably well. There's no doubt that McLaren had been one of the great constructors of my time. In 1984, a year of overwhelming success for the Woking team, Niki Lauda beat Alain Prost by half a point. It all came down to the final race in Portugal. The tension was well nigh unbearable.
And this time he's got a good draft, and I think he's inside him, yes, and Alain Prost takes the lead, and I'm sure he's going to pull away now.
As as Lauda goes past the Williams, and he is definitely in fourth position. Senna on the right in the Tolman, Lauda on the left, and they're battling for third position. Still Prost first and Mansell second, and Lauda is going through this time, surely. He's got the line, and yes indeed, as they go into turn one, at the end of lap 33, Lauda is up into third place, only Mansell between him and his teammate Prost. Niki Lauda on lap 53 out of 70 has moved up into second position, and in doing so has taken the lead in the World Championship. He has to keep running. Alain Prost takes the checkered flag to win in Portugal, but ironically and very, very sadly from his point of view, provided Niki Lauda appears in the next 15 seconds or so, and there he is. There is the world champion of 1984.
Prost took the championship in 1985 after a terrific season when 4 constructors, McLaren, Ferrari, Williams and Lotus, all produced winning cars. In only the second race of the season, Ayrton Senna took his first Grand Prix victory in Portugal in appalling conditions.
Ayrton Senna has been waving as he went past the pits, as Prost did at Monaco. He's waving at the officials to say stop the race. And this is ironic because Senna complained vociferously, to put it mildly, at Monaco that if the race had been delayed for just 1 lap longer, he would have won. Now Senna, and off goes Prost and regains and spin. Alain Prost spins right off, and he's going to be out of the race with a smashed rear wing. And Senna has won the jubilant Team Lotus mechanics, and off goes Mansell. Nigel Mansell goes off but rejoins, and Ayrton Senna has already got his shoulder straps undone, and you can see that this usually totally unflappable, imperturbable Brazilian is for once absolutely beside himself. Look at him, both hands waving with joy.
When Senna joined Prost at McLaren in 1988, few of us could have foreseen the quite extraordinary saga that was about to unfold. Senna's uncharacteristic mistake at Monaco that year, when he was pressured by his teammate, may just have been the catalyst for the feuding that was to follow. But to the enthralled viewer, all we could see was a team so dominant that they won 15 out of 16 races. And only this famous incident, as Jean-Louis Schlesser ran Senna at Monza, deprived the team of a clean sweep. But it did set the scene for an amazingly emotional Ferrari 1-2 out of all places, Monza, just 1 month after the death of the great Enzo Ferrari.
Listen to the crowd. Ferrari wins. Ferrari second. And the first Italian Grand Prix since the death of the great Enzo Ferrari has seen his beloved Scarlet cars from Maranello honour his memory with first and second places, and it's a truly happy crowd.
Senna was champion in 1988 despite scoring fewer points than Prost because only the best 11 scores counted. In 1989, their bitter feud climaxed in Japan.
There's 14 running now out of the 26 who started, and if Prost comes up to any of them, this is the opportunity that Senna's looking for, and he's going through. Ouch! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. They meet. This is what we were fearing might happen during the race, and that means to say that Prost has won the World Championship. Alain Prost, World Champion of 1989.
Well, and just look at this, because Ayrton Senna, who can get going again, but he's been pushed, that's outside assistance. And I'm afraid to say that that is all over for Ayrton Senna, and it was his own fault because of the slow corner. He wasn't past Prost, and he went into a gap, and Prost had every right to turn into him there.
In 1990, the feud continued, even though Senna and Prost were now with different teams. When it came to the championship, though, Japan again saw the climax, when, for the second year running, the sparks really flew.
And Senna sprints away, but Alain Prost takes the lead. It's happened. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first corner, but what has happened to Prost? He has gone off too. Well, that is amazing, but I fear absolutely predictable.
Yes, and that makes Ayrton Senna world champion this year. So Ayrton Senna now with Prost not finishing the race quite clearly. He's out of his car, stuck in the gravel pit. That, I'm afraid to say, is the end of this year's Drivers' World Championship in favour of Ayrton Senna.
Now here's a replay.
Yes, one of the best starts of the season by Alain Prost. Senna looking down the inside. Now, he didn't make it into the corner. Prost kept hard into the corner. He knew Senna was there, but he was relying on Senna just to be able to get a bit onto the brake pedal. And that's a very sad way for this year's very exciting World Championship to finish.
The tremendous Senna-Prost rivalry took a break in 1991 when Ayrton achieved his third and last title, whilst Prost was fired by Ferrari and had to sit it out until 1993 before the two could fight for supremacy again. But Ayrton, now driving a McLaren Ford V8 after the withdrawal of Honda, couldn't match Alain, who took his fourth title. Ayrton was a fighter in every sense of the word, and his win in the European Grand Prix at Donington was one of the greatest drives I've ever seen.
He started fourth and dropped to fifth, but almost unbelievably led by the end of the first lap.
Prost gets away well, so does Hill, so does Schumacher, and Wendlinger is coming up well. Senna is crowded out and is down to fifth position, and Wendlinger is up into third place ahead of Schumacher. Brilliant start by the Austrian driver in the black Sauber. Prost leads, Hill second, Wendlinger is third, and Ayrton Senna is up to fourth position ahead of Schumacher and challenging Wendlinger as they go round the right-hander into the old hairpin. Senna is up to third.
And after being crowded at the start, a quite brilliant couple of corners by Ayrton Senna. Tremendous stuff. He muscled his way back into the contention at Redgate. He's going inside Damon Hill. And Senna into second place already. And he's giving it absolutely everything in the wet part of the race.
So now, as before, the two great rivals, and that's Andretti. He's done it again on the very first lap. Andretti is out as he was in Brazil, as he almost was in South Africa. 3 Grand Prix and he has only done 3 full laps, and so out is Wendlinger. So 2 retirements already, Michael Andretti and Carl Wendlinger, and Senna goes through into the lead. He's passed Alain Prost, so the McLaren leads, Prost second, Hill is third, a tremendous gap between the third and fourth cars.
In Monaco later that year, Ayrton took a record 6th win, whilst in France, Alain found that Senna wasn't the only driver able to run him close, very close.
The leaders now are almost within sight of the checkered flag, and Alain Prost and Damon Hill are going to finish together. They do so. Prost wins in France for the 6th time, and he wins by less than a second.
1993 finished fittingly, with Senna winning the Australian Grand Prix. What we didn't know then was that this would be the great Brazilian's last victory. But for me, even more than his race wins, it'll be his genius during the single qualifying laps that'll stay with me. Ayrton Senna da Silva didn't endear himself to everyone, but no one could argue that his was one of the greatest talents ever to grace a racing car. When he died at Imola in 1994, he became a legend that'll never be forgotten. Throughout those great Prost and Senna battles, there was one other man who consistently figured in the equation. A man who took pole 32 times and who won 31 times. Our Nige. For those of you who followed Nigel over the years, who saw him push his car over the line and collapse in Detroit, and who saw him spin out when leading in Monaco, the European Grand Prix of 1985 was indeed a red-letter day for the man who drove Red 5, his first Grand Prix win.
A wonderful drive. This has certainly not been a case of a lucky win. He's dominated the race since he thrust his way through on lap 9 into the lead. And now he comes out of clearways and takes the checkered flag. And Nigel Mansell has won the Shell Oils Grand Prix of Europe. He is exultant, he is exuberant, and he's got every justification to be.
It was the start of a wonderful period for Nigel and for us.
In 1986, Nelson Piquet had switched from Brabham to Williams, and now he and Nigel made a formidable pair. But Williams were thrown into confusion after team owner Frank Williams was paralysed in a road crash. In spite of that, Williams won the Constructors' title by a country mile. 3 outstanding moments, all featuring Nigel, stay with me from that season. The second race of the year was at Jerez in Spain, and it was Nigel versus Ayrton Senna, Williams versus Lotus. Mighty close it was too.
And there is Senna trying again, and onto the grass goes Senna. Out of the pits comes Rosberg.
Well, amazing they survived that. I'm afraid the director switched off at the worst possible moment. We lost the picture, but both cars in it, so battle really is taking place. And Prost, I think, is wisely just sitting off this a little, giving himself enough room to take evasive action in case they do tangle, because Mansell really shut the door hard then, and Senna had to take to the grass to avoid it, but they both emerged. Tremendous stuff. This is really hard racing. Senna climbing all over the back. He's having a look, and he's inside Mansell. And he certainly was going for the opportunity there. Of course, Prost is lurking, ready to pick up the pieces of any indiscretion or mistake.
I suspect Nigel Mansell is grimly enjoying this, because this time, being in the lead, he's got the whip hand, and Senna is through! Senna is through, and Prost is through! Incredible! As I say that, in the twinkling of an eye, Nigel Mansell goes from first to third. Senna is back in the lead, and can Prost catch him? There is Senna across the line, and Mansell and Prost come out of the hairpin absolutely together, and Mansell is going through to take second place. No, he's not. Now on the inside.
Well, of course, with so much more grip than Prost and, of course, Senna when it comes to it, Mansell really shouldn't find overtaking nearly as big a problem as it has been in the past.
6.2 seconds was the gap between Senna and Mansell, and Mansell's through, I can tell you that. There he is. Mansell is second, and Mansell could conceivably take Senna coming out of the hairpin on the final approach to the last straight of the Spanish Grand Prix. It's all going to depend on the exit from turns 14 and 15, which they're approaching now. Then into turn 16, the hairpin. It's going to be one of the closest Grand Prix finishes, whatever happens, that we've seen for a long, long time. They're coming up to the hairpin now. This is it. Down into second gear, and Mansell, if he gets it right, can sprint out of the rear wing of Senna's car. Senna moves across. He's keeping Mansell back, and he wins. Mansell won't like that any more than he likes at Brazil, but there is no doubt about the fact that Senna was taking advantage of the fact that he's got a clear circuit in front of him to keep Mansell back.
At the 1986 British Grand Prix at Brands Hatch, Mansell was brilliant.
And there he goes, lap 23, Nigel Mansell leads the British Grand Prix.
For the championship, it all came down to the last race of the year in Adelaide. Nigel only needed third or better. I remember Frank was in our studio back in London whilst James and I were trackside, where surely we were going to have our first British world champion since 1976. But no.
And look at that! And colossally, that's Mansell! That is Nigel Mansell, and the car absolutely shattered. He's fighting for control, and you can see what's happened. Mansell is out of the race. Now, this could change and will change the World Championship.
What an absolute tragedy for Mansell. Obviously, the tyres went at almost the same time as Keke Rosberg, so there's a wear problem. Piquet must be made aware of that by radio, because it means he, with his tyres, will be here. We're going to see what happened again, and that's an absolute tragedy.
In 1987, two great back-to-back wins for Nigel against Piquet in France, and then a stirring drive at Silverstone was still not enough to give him the title.
And this is where Mansell will be looking to challenge. Piquet will hold the inside line. And Mansell is through. And a tremendous driving by Nigel, but that really was a bad mistake by Piquet to go back to the other side of the track. He just opened the door again for Nigel Mansell. He really should have held the right-hand side of the track and made Nigel go around the outside. And so Nigel Mansell looks as if he's sewn up the British Grand Prix.
That is the man of the race. And the British crowd break ranks. They're marvellous at this, and they will go back to their positions after this race and before the next one, and I can think of no other crowd in the world that would do that. The British enthusiasm for Grand Prix racing has never shown more. Nigel is not going to be allowed to get back to his pit. Amazing.
When Mansell had a horrible crash in practice for the Japanese Grand Prix, he had to settle for second again, and Piquet took the title.
When Williams lost their turbos and had to settle for a normally aspirated Judd V8 in 1988, Nigel's brilliant second place at the British Grand Prix underlined his fighting spirit.
And he's going for Alboreto. He's going for Alboreto. He's taking Alboreto. Nigel Mansell is in third position. He's gone up from 7th to 6th, to 4th to 5th, and now to 3rd. And this is lap 23. And it's starting to rain again as Mansell goes through and nearly off and up into second position. Nigel Mansell dodges right over to the right-hand side of the track. It is in second position.
In 1989, Ferrari beckoned. And to everyone's utter astonishment, Nigel won for the prancing horse first time out in Brazil.
Look for the checkered flag. What a fool running across the course. A raving lunatic. But Nigel Mansell has won the Brazilian Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix of 1989, the most exciting one we have seen for years.
Even better was his second Ferrari victory in Hungary.
He will see this battle for the lead bearing down on him, and he will see Mansell going through and taking third position from Alain Prost. Nigel Mansell in the V12 Ferrari goes up into third place. Now, can he do the same thing to Ayrton Senna? Here, Jonathan Palmer going into the pits, and Senna goes for it. He goes through. Ayrton Senna takes the lead on the 52nd lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Patrese was just slightly off his mark there, and now Mansell is going to do the same thing. No, he's not. He has to hang back. Crosses his way through. Patrese has lost 2 places in almost the time he takes to say it. There is Gerhard Berger, who will drive for McLaren next year, walking in, having yet again, for the 10th time this year in 10 races, having failed to score a World Championship point, and Mansell goes through. Oh, fantastic! Nigel Mansell, as he and Senna come up to pass the Onyx, takes the lead. Now, is he going to pull away? Mansell on his way to his second victory, and down to second place goes world champion Ayrton Senna. Yes, over the line goes Nigel Mansell for his second Ferrari victory of 1989, as Ayrton Senna approaches in second position to take that second place.
Mansell at his gutsy best was this amazing move in Mexico.
And this is Berger. Are we going to suddenly see the Nigel Mansell Ferrari come alongside us as we ride with Gerhard Berger on the last lap of the Mexican Grand Prix? with Alain Prost seemingly going to win it, and Mansell going round the outside. Incredible! Up into second place. He's regained that second place, and now he's fairly rocketing away from Berger on the last lap in Mexico.
Absolutely brilliant manoeuvre by Mansell, fantastically brave, but he did it because you go high into that corner, and if you get on the outside where it's a bit slippery, but marvellous stuff by Mansell.
Nigel had to wait for his return to Williams in 1991 before he was truly on the pace again. Although his stopping to give Ayrton Senna a lift home at the British Grand Prix is something I'll always remember, it was watching him tough it out into the first bend in Spain against Senna's McLaren that I'll never forget.
Wheel-to-wheel stuff. Look at this, they're almost touching. Mansell gets in there, and Senna back on the inside.
A classic example there of Nigel Mansell, the fearless racer. He was never short of guts and determination. But in 1992, he had by far the best car as well. In his Williams Renault, he confidently took a record first 5 wins on the trot, a record 9 wins in a season, and the World Championship. We've already seen how he won in Hungary to clinch the title, but that year of all years, he would have wanted to give his adoring British public a win at the British Grand Prix. And as usual, Nigel didn't let them down.
They love him and he loves them. And Nigel Mansell comes out of Luffield 1 into Luffield 2, which is the last corner but 1. They're breaking ranks, the Union Jacks are waving, and Nigel Mansell wins the 1992 British Grand Prix in terrific style, hands off the wheel. He sees the opportunity to become the world champion getting greater and greater.
By the time the 1992 Grand Prix scene reached the final race in Adelaide, Nigel had been world champion for weeks, but it was hardly surprising that when Senna tried to pass, there were ructions.
And there's still a car in front of them.
They'll both go out! Mansell was destined not to finish the Australian Grand Prix, and that's exactly the same situation for Ayrton Senna that he was in the previous year with his left wheel, and Mansell is furious!
When Nigel won his last race for Williams at Adelaide in 1994, having started from pole, Britain had a new star. But I shall always remember Nigel Mansell, the fighter, Nigel Mansell, the winner. He certainly made my job more fun.
This will make them think even more, because Nigel Mansell is almost home and dry to win the 1994 Australian Grand Prix, and Nigel Mansell wins in Australia. Fantastic!
After that championship year, Nigel went Indy racing in 1993 with enormous success, and it was Alain Prost who took the Formula One title. But not before old rival Ayrton Senna and very new rival Damon Hill had given him a real run for his money. Despite the despair of losing the British Grand Prix to Prost when his engine blew, Damon still had 3 reasons to be cheerful that year.
Damon Hill exits the last turn at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and he does indeed see the checkered flag, and Damon Hill wins the Grand Prix. Damon's first Grand Prix victory has been a brilliant one. Surely Damon Hill is about to win his second Grand Prix, and what's more, the second in succession. He's out of the last corner now, and Damon Hill wins the Belgian Grand Prix on the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And Damon Hill exits the Parabolica. He's into the last straight now. He waves his hand, and Damon Hill wins in Italy, as he won in Belgium, as he won in Hungary.
If we thought that Grand Prix were going to be quieter affairs with the ending of the Prost-Senna era, we hadn't allowed for the emergence of a new confrontation, every bit as hard-fought and bitter as the ones before. In one corner, Damon Hill, the very British son of a former world champion. In the other, a brilliant German intent on making his own piece of motor racing history, Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher was a star from the moment he stepped into a Formula One car. His brilliant first win for Benetton at Spa in 1992 had already shown us what he could do. But the following year, Damon took 3 wins to Michael's 1.
In 1994, though, Michael had already won 4 on the trot when the teams got to Spain, where Damon won thanks to Michael's Benetton being stuck in 5th, as the brilliant graphic showed. Michael then made it 6 at Canada and France, but in Britain at Silverstone, it all came apart on lap 22 when he was shown the "Stop Now" black flag.
Now, there's a Schumacher. Look, Schumacher is going to be black flagged. Now, black flag means that he's transgressed in some way. Now, this is going to transform the situation for Damon Hill. He's an enormous distance ahead of Jean Alesi, and it's because he hasn't come in. Now, I don't know whether... I can't believe that he didn't receive the message, because the Benetton people would have had to give it to him. But for whatever reason, if he hasn't received the message or he's decided to ignore it, which would be most unlike this level-headed young man, Sir Michael Schumacher is being black flagged.
What we don't know is, did he get the command? Because the team are obliged to give the driver the command to come in and make that stop go, and he must do that within 3 laps of the team being advised that by the stewards. There it is, 5 being black flagged.
Here is the consultation. That's Roland Brunscherider with his back, and he's talking to Tom Walkinshaw, who is one of the principals of the Benetton team, and obviously the Benetton team are challenging the decision. But this black flag thing really does mystify me. And into the pit lane comes Schumacher. This is it. Now, is it for a stop-go, or is it get out of the car, you naughty boy, your race is over? Is he driving through? He's turning off. It's a stop-go. Stop. Stop, 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 go. Now, Schumacher came in. Now, how many people have gone through? Well, Damon Hill is in the lead, that is for sure, as Michael Schumacher rejoins after transgressing and getting the black flag.
In Belgium, Schumacher was again disqualified on a technicality, and I had to stay in a deserted paddock to give the dramatic result on the 9 o'clock news. And with a superb win in the wet by Damon in Japan, it all came down to Adelaide, the final race of the season. We knew no quarter would be asked, and certainly none given. And we were right.
But looking back, I've seen the replay now after the race, and I realised that his car actually was damaged. And in hindsight, of course, if I'd stayed where I was, he would have been out. And I could be champion, but I don't want to spend too long thinking about things like that. I'm going to have to just come back next year and try and become world champion all again.
So Schumacher won the title by a single point in highly contentious circumstances. There was to be a lot more of the same in 1995. Schumacher had got a useful lead in the championship at Silverstone, but those of us hoping for a hard-fought and incident-free race were to be disappointed.
If Damon Hill could get past Michael Schumacher and win, it would decrease the gap from 11 points to 7 points. Oh, what's happened? Damon's lost it, has he? Stops! Off! They're both off! Who's that? Is that a Tyrrell, or is it... It's Schumacher! They're both off, they're both out! Now, you suddenly saw Damon Hill's steering wheel whirl about in his hands. Now, whether they collided or not, I do not know, but whatever. Well, hang on, we're going to show you what happened. Schumacher waves his hand in disgust. Now, this is it. Here they are, Schumacher on the left, Damon Hill on the right. Damon attacks, goes through on the inside. Contact. Now, there's going to be a big argument about that. Damon Hill will say, I was close enough to get through on the inside. Schumacher will say, in no way were you.
Coming up to Les Combes, the championship rivals were at it again in Belgium.
But Schumacher's going to try and cut him off. Hill is alongside him and goes through. No! Schumacher's still marginally ahead. Pushes Bill. pushes Damon Hill sideways, retaining his line. Now, is Hill going to get through? Yes! And Michael Schumacher runs wide, loses grip, goes over the grass.
And incredibly, yet again in Italy.
Oh, and Hill hits Schumacher, they both go off! They both go off! This is a repetition of Silverstone! Amazing!
Yes, and with 3 other lapses, Damon made it easy for Schumacher.
Lap 1 completed. Hill, Schumacher, Coulthard, and off goes Damon Hill out of the race, and Michael Schumacher takes the lead.
And Damon made no bones about the fact that ideally he would have liked the Williams team in the situation where he is second to Schumacher in the championship, and he spins and goes off. Damon Hill out. It's a wet patch, and Hill is out of the Grand Prix of Europe, and therefore effectively, in my opinion, virtually out of the World Championship.
And off goes Damon Hill. Damon Hill bouncing across the gravel at the Spoon Curve. That's where both he and David Coulthard went off yesterday. Now here's what happened. Here's the replay. He's coming in doing 120 miles an hour. He gets wide, simply just drifts wide. The curb launches the car in the air. He's bouncing across the gravel trap, frankly trying to keep some power on at this stage to try and get sanctuary in the grass along the far side.
Damon got it together again with a superb fighting win at Adelaide, but in 1995 it was too late. Schumacher had the title.
Damon was to get his revenge in 1996 though. 8 wins, including a magnificent victory at Suzuka after being fired by Frank Williams. As for Michael, his superlative first Ferrari win in the wet at Barcelona was followed by equally outstanding victories at Spa and Monza. We knew he wasn't going to give up without a fight. Schumacher's star then waned a bit after an amazing first lap departure at Monaco, and then demeaning car failures in 3 successive races. But to his credit, he got it together again for a fabulous scrap with Jacques Villeneuve at the European Grand Prix.
Jacques Villeneuve is going to stay ahead of Michael Schumacher and win the Grand Prix of Europe at the Nürburgring. They exit the corner, turn 13, the last corner, and the checkered flag goes out, and Jacques Villeneuve wins for Williams-Renault.
But at the end of a close-fought year, Damon followed his great father, Graham, into the record books by taking the title he wanted so much and we all wanted so much at Suzuka with an emotional win.
And that is Villeneuve. It's Villeneuve. Jacques Villeneuve is out of the race. Damon Hill is the world champion of 1996. Wheel off Villeneuve. We'll see what happened, but whatever it was has denied him the world championship. Frank Williams looking his normal, impassive self, but Damon Hill is the world champion of 1996. This is going to be a mighty emotional occasion for a lot of people, not the least of whom is myself. And Damon Hill will be concentrating in the cockpit there, but when he comes out of it, his arms will go up, the helmet will come off. That is his wife, Georgie. She's seeing her husband become world champion. Now she's seeing him win the Japanese Grand Prix because he is almost home. This is something that many people didn't think could possibly happen today. They thought Damon would drive a cautious race, but he fought. He fought from second on the grid. He passed Jacques Villeneuve. He took the lead. He stayed there. And Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
You know, the great thing about this sport is that you can never be sure about anything. I've seen and heard some amazing things. And in retrospect, I've said a few amazing things as well. Formula One's been my life and my passion, and what memories it's given me.
Here in Portugal, this is round 14 of the 16-race World Championship and the end of the European season. Here in Portugal, this is round 14 of the 16-race World... And here beside me, as you can see, are the 2 Williams drivers, each with 4 wins to their credit, and one of whom is most likely to win the World Championship. But which one? championship leader, Nigel Mansell, or second, Nelson Piquet?
It's enough.
I cannot believe that Andrea de Cesaris walked away from this crash. It's a tribute to the designers of modern Formula One cars.
Keke, 3 very happy years with Williams, including a World Championship. Keke, 4 very happy years with Williams, including a World Championship.
Lap 73. After this, we've got lap 74, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Victory in the 1999 Monaco Grand Prix for Ayrton Senna.
And now, just in case there's any confusion, Coulthard leads and has yet to stop. Hakkinen leads and has yet to stop.
Nigel Mansell is in 3rd position. He's gone up from 7th to 6th, to 4th to 5th, and now to 3rd, and this is lap 23.
Wow, amazing pictures from Formula One's onboard cameras.
Right, some sort of problem, and there is one. My goodness, back goes Natalio.
Now, is Damon Hill going to take the lead? Because this looks like a slow pit stop. Hill is leading. Damon Hill goes through, and Ayrton Senna is still in the pit lane. And Ayrton Senna is still in the lead. My apologies, it was Alain Prost that went through.
Hard luck for Nigel Mansell. There he is, and that was him going out of the pits. Nigel Mansell leaving the pits as I talk to you, and that is Nigel Mansell in the pits. So it must have been, I can't understand that because I saw a car, he must have been going into the pits. I apologise.
Bernie, it's some 17 years since you bought McLaren. You've had some good times and you've had some bad times. What do you remember best?
I don't remember buying McLaren. I've done it again.
And unless I'm very much mistaken, there's a lot more to come on this video. Oh, I am very much mistaken.